What are you waiting for? Why haven't you written that book yet? I think I might know a few reasons why. Number one, you're probably trying to find your niche. Am I a romantic suspense author? Am I a historical author? Am I a Regency period author? Am I a young adult fantasy author? You're trying to find exactly what type of book you want to write, which I get because it's a great place to start. But if that's what's holding you back from putting any words on the page until you decide exactly what this book is going to be, that, frankly, is a procrastination technique. You don't need to know all the answers before you start writing, because you know what? Writing will tell you even more answers than the planning process will. So stop sitting on the book and start writing it. Don't wait for the perfect niche to come along. Just start writing your book. For instance, with this channel, I hemmed and hawed about doing a YouTube channel for years. I kept thinking, nobody needs to hear from me. Look at all these other writing instructors out there, and why would they want to hear what I have to say? But that was really just kind of my insecurity talking about, what if I put a video out there and people say crappy things to me? Which has happened, and I lived through it, and I survived, and I went on and released another video. And when I first started this channel, I hired somebody to tell me basically how to get started. And he said, just release stuff. Don't worry about it too much. You will figure out your niche and how you fit in this marketplace as you go along, as you get more experience in production and editing and all of that. And if you look at my early videos, first tip is to actually walk out your scene, block it out. Holy cow, they're worse than my early books. They're really, really terrible because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I did it anyway. And yeah, they didn't get a lot of views, and yeah, they didn't get a lot of comments, and yeah, I got some mean comments, but it taught me so much about how I respond to a camera, how viewers respond to me, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And I just kept going, and I took the chance and kept going. That's what you have to do with your book as well. You don't have to know everything, just start writing. The second thing that might be stopping you is time. And I get, we all have 24 hours in a day. You have a family, you have a home, you got to eat 3 times a day. You got to go to work, you got to pay the bills. There's a whole lot of things vying for your time. But I guarantee that if you really, really want to write a book, you will find the time to do it. 365 days are going to pass in this year. And either you're going to get to the end of this year with 365 pages written, or you're not. And that is on you. When I really, really wanted to write, and I didn't have the time because I had 2 little kids and a full-time job and a house and dinner to cook and all of that, I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I did that for years, 3 or 4 years, I think. 4:30 in the morning, I had a coffee pot with a grinder, and I could hear that go off at 4:25, and then I could smell the coffee by 4:30. That would help get me out of bed because I knew that coffee was waiting for me. And once I had the coffee, I could go to work. And I would write 2 or 3 pages every morning before the kids got up. Print them out, take them with me, mark them up throughout the day. Because I had millions of pockets of time. We all do. I had 5 minutes while I was waiting for pasta to boil, or 10 minutes sitting in the carpool line at school. I would take all those little pockets of time that were throughout my day, and I would edit my pages on hard copy. And then once everybody was asleep, I would go back to the computer and I would write those changes in. Without a doubt, I got 5 pages a day written that way. And that is how I wrote 10 books in 8 years. 5 pages a day. A lot of them were crappy. As we all know from my first book video here, a lot of them were really terrible pages, but every page that I wrote was a little bit further in my education on how to write a book. I also spent a lot of time in the car listening to audiobooks on how to write and things like that so that I could really learn what I needed to do. I invested in my education. I took some courses. I signed up for a conference. I went to different workshops. I invested in myself because this was really important to me. And yes, it was difficult to fit it all in. I'm not gonna lie. I had several years where I was not sleeping more than 5 or 6 hours a night, and that's not fun. But I wanted it so badly that I found that time. If you want it that badly, you will find the time. So you absolutely have that time if you choose to use it on your writing. The other thing that can stop a lot of people is, well, I don't have the right gear. Okay, you don't need any gear to write a book. You can literally start with handwriting. Even if your handwriting is terrible, you can start dictating it into your phone. You don't have to have a fancy dancy laptop or some kind of word processing software. Books have been written with much less. Books were written before there was even printing presses. So you don't need any fancy gear to get started. You just need the impetus to start putting words on the page. The other thing that might be stopping you is budget. And that, I believe, is a valid excuse. The budget to hire a good editor, the budget to hire a good formatter, the budget to hire a good cover designer is an absolute reality for most of us. We're trying to pay for groceries that are super expensive and medical bills and kids' tuition and everything else that you've got going on in your life. And budgeting the money for something that may or may not pay itself back can be very difficult. It can be tough to have that conversation with a partner to say, hey, I need a couple $1,000s to spend on my book so that I can make it look really good. I think especially because we are creatives, we have a much harder time justifying that money because it's like, well, it's just a book I wrote. We don't really think about it as a business. And I will tell you that changing my thinking around my writing to seeing it as a business transformed how I made every single decision with my future. I did that when I started the channel. I looked at it as a business. I knew that I didn't have much of a budget because I really wanted to make sure that this was making money before I spent money. But I also realized that a big part of running a successful business is spending money. So I created a budget for how much I would spend on the website, on the community, on video editing software, and then I bought a camera and a ring light, and then I gradually I added microphones, I added another ring light, I added stuff in my office. I gradually added each thing as the channel began to expand. Now, it wasn't making any money. It took me about a year to monetize, but as I could see that things were growing, I could justify the expenses and start putting those things in. And I've been very strategic about how I grow this channel and where I spend the money on other things that I'm using to grow it, like producing classes. It's the same thing with my writing. When I first started out and I was investing in all of this money for education and editing and things like that, I didn't have much of a budget, but I treated it like a business. I said, okay, if I'm gonna run a business, how am I going to make money while I'm spending money? So I started writing other things, and I have an entire video about all the other things that I wrote that brought in money so that I could pay for the things that I needed, which was good cover design, good formatting, good editing, all of that. You need to think of it like a company. And how would a company approach this? I suggest reading books on how to run a successful company, not like a multi-million-dollar company, because I don't think any of us are going to be the next Jeff Bezos just writing books. Think about how would a business person run it? What is going to be the best expenditure of your efforts, your creativity, and your time. And along with that, there is an emotional and mental piece that I think a lot of people don't talk about enough. I know that I had a lot of trouble when I first started out justifying writing fiction. I was making a lot of money as a marketing copywriter and writing nonfiction, a lot of money, very good money. And justifying my desire to write something that possibly could never make any money.
We are showing a balance of $0 and 0 cents for both of your accounts.
Was difficult. It was hard for me to even tell my friends and family about it because I thought, well, that's just, Shirley writing a stupid little book. And then people would say, well, did the book sell? And I'd be like, no. And that happened 10 times in 8 years. I had 10 books that didn't sell, even though I'd get super excited, think, ooh, this one's gonna sell. And it didn't. And even I started to doubt myself and started thinking, maybe I'm wasting my time here. Maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe I don't have what it takes. But I did a couple things to keep myself on track. Number one, I got a motivational calendar, which sounds really stupid, but it was all of those like people climbing mountains, you can do it kind of little calendar. And every day I would turn the page the next day and it would have something else motivational there. And I would stick those quotes all over my office. I had motivational things that would pop up on my phone because I was dealing with a lack of support at home and a lack of support in my most immediate circle. And so I had a lot of people telling me not to waste my time. And so I had to be the one that would remind myself that this was not a waste of my time, that I wanted this very badly. Then the other key component that I had was proof of concept. I would look at these parts that had like won a contest or gotten great feedback from an editor or an agent. And ultimately the book didn't sell, but I had this great rejection letter where they said, I really love this scene here. Or there was other parts of my book that I said, you know what, I know I did that well. And I would hold on to those proof of concept sections that said, you've got what it takes. You've just got to keep learning and growing and becoming better at it. That mental and emotional battle that a lot of us go through because the people in our circle are not super supportive can be very difficult. You have to want it so badly that you're going to find whatever it takes to drown those voices out. I had to absolutely surround myself with little quotes and reminders that I could do this, that I wanted to do this, that dream was out there and it was just waiting for me to take it. And it took a long time. 10 books in 8 years where I really struggled every single day to get up there and write and believe in myself. So all of those things that I did that reminded me why I was doing this and what was important to me were critical in keeping me on track. I also found some friends within that process that also believed in me or wanted to be published as much as I did. And by surrounding myself with other people that were on that same journey, it helped a lot. So what is stopping you from writing your book? What is keeping you from showing up at the page and finishing this book? If it's fear, if it's doubt, if it's insecurity, you have to push those aside. You have to believe in your dream and want your dream more than you're going to listen to those voices around you. If it's the people in your circle that are telling you you can't do this, you have to drown them out. You have to want it more than you doubt it. And if you're feeling doubt, drop a comment below, because we all go through it. And I guarantee that I have felt that same way at some point in my career, maybe more than once. Every time I branch out to a new genre, or I work for a new publisher, or anything new comes out by me, I'm just waiting for the bad reviews to drop or the publisher to say this is terrible. Whatever part of my career that I'm going into, there's always a place where I'm thinking, this is not going to work out. But I've created a safety net of sort that kind of reminds me of what I'm doing. I still have a whiteboard with my ultimate goal on it, right up above in front of my desk. I still have reminders around my office that says, you can do this, you've got it. I still have little things that give me proof of concept, like awards or other things that I have won, that remind me I have what it takes to do this. Because not every day is a good writing day, but you still gotta write anyway.